Okay, I'll call to order the city council meeting for November 10th, 2022. Everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Dave Webb.
Here.
Kevin Canada is absent. Tim Root.
Here.
Cindy Fuhr.
Here.
And Scott Palava.
Here.
Okay, tonight's agenda goes through 10I. Is there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda?
Mayor, I guess depending how the last item on the agenda goes, I would recommend that consider approval of a job posting and authorize staff to advertise the position of public works worker be added to the agenda.
Okay, that would become J.
That would actually become K. J was continued on the second page.
Uh-oh, I didn't get it on mine, I guess.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah, J was conditional job offer.
Oh,
for
okay.
public works.
Okay,
So it should be
all right.
okay.
Okay, anything else?
I move we approve the agenda with that addition.
Motion by Councilperson Fuhr, second by Councilman Webb. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of minutes. Consider approval of the minutes from the October 13th, 2022 regular meeting and the October 24th, 2022 regular meeting. Any additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes?
Move to approve the minutes as presented.
Motion by Councilman Palava,
Second?
second by Councilperson Fuhr. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. There are no public hearings. Presentation of citizens' petitions and comments. Comments limited to 2 minutes. So if you're not on the agenda, now's your opportunity to speak. Okay, nothing on the consent agenda. There is no old business. On to new business. Consider approval of a bid submitted by Hyman Fire Equipment in the amount of $300,235 for a 3,000-gallon tanker. Dave Fluke, Fire Chief. Welcome, sir.
Good evening. Well, it's been a long process. I think we started this process maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. And we got a bid together, a spec together finally, put it out for bids. We advertised in two papers and received one bid. The bid was from Hyman Fire Equipment for $300,235. And the estimated time to build, 2 years. It's about 270 days from when they received the chassis. And right now, getting the chassis is the problem. So they're still saying a year and a half to 2 years to build. We have used Hyman Fire in the past to purchase large equipment, and we've been happy with their services. The new tanker is currently going to replace our 1,500-gallon tanker that was built in 1978, and it'll also be put into our frontline service, and then our existing 3,000-gallon tanker will be kind of put in secondary, or be still used, but it'll be moved behind this new truck. The money used to pay for the project is coming from $220,000 that was set aside in the budget. The other money's coming to pay for the remainder. Coming is budget surplus. The Lonsdale Firemen's Relief Association has donated quite a large amount of money that we'll also be using towards paying for this. And every year we are probably putting about $150,000 more into that capital outlay program to continue buying equipment that we planned on.
Do you think we need to raise that capital outlay this upcoming year?
It's something we could look at.
Yeah.
I mean, the price of stuff is,
Yeah.
unfortunately, no one could foresee.
Right. But I think the surrounding townships have some growth and pretty successful too,
Yeah.
so I think it might be a good item to look at.
Guess in conclusion, I'm asking the city council to approve Hyman Fire's bid of $300,235 so we can move forward and order the truck. Any questions?
Well, I think you did a lot of work, a lot of due diligence on it, and as you mentioned, this has been a capital outlay program that we've been laid out, and you said the existing truck is a 78?
Yes,
So that's like, what, 40, was it 42 years or something?
it's old.
It's old.
You know, the existing truck, I mean, we still use it,
Yeah.
it works. It's mostly reliable. It's rusting away and we continue to have electrical issues.
I'm sure, yeah.
And I know we use it and it's also get used now and then to flood ice rinks and stuff like that. So it's been a good truck.
Good, good.
Do they have any idea as far as timeline for a chassis?
No.
Okay. So in the meantime, we just keep setting aside the money and wait.
Okay,
Definitely needs to happen, so I'll make a motion to approve bid for Hyman Fire Equipment for $300,235 for a 3,000 gallon tanker.
And I'll
Motion.
second.
motion by Councilman Karada, second by Councilperson Fear. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consider approval of a quote submitted by ANCOM in the amount of $14,044 for a 26 Miniature V1 VH5 channel pagers. Mr. Fluke.
All right. Again, replacing old equipment. Essentially, this is what we have now. Every firefighter is issued a pager when they get on, and that's how we're notified when we need to respond to the fire department. Pager and charger. There's 26 members, so I'm looking to purchase 26 pagers. And the Miniature 6, that's a step up from the Miniature 5. You can't get this anymore. I can still have it serviced, but the factory no longer supports it, so I can get minor things serviced on it, but any major parts need to be replaced, they can. So I've been kind of, we had a few extras, and I've been kind of cannibalizing them along the line to fix the older pagers.
How old are those?
About 15 years.
Yeah,
And they get treated, you know,
I'm sure.
they get treated kind of
Yeah, I'm sure.
hard. Yeah, and over the, you know, last year or two, I've been receiving more complaints about firefighters having issues with the pagers working properly. And I just received one this morning where his wasn't working at all, so.
Right, right.
And currently, I think we're at our useful life for these pagers. I did ask for a quote from ANCOM for 26 pagers. The total was, those pagers, programming, carrying case, and there's an extended warranty on there for a total of $14,444. I did receive a DNR grant for $5,000, so that's a matching grant. So we have to spend at least $5,000 to get to $5,000. The remainder of the money would come from, every year we set aside $2,000 for radios and pager repair. So the remainder of money would come from monies that we didn't use over the years
Sure.
for paying for that.
Where is this, this 6 version in the grand scheme of things? Is that like a newer version, or is that the newest version?
Well, it's the newer version, and I'm getting, this is a single channel, I'm getting a multi-channel, so in the future, if something changes, we can accommodate additional channels. The next step up would be going with an 800 megahertz capable pager. Right now, we're still being paged over analog or traditional, I guess the old signal. Far as I've heard, there's no plan in the near future to change that. But if that pager is about twice as much as this pager.
The changes with law enforcement, with the encryption and stuff,
This is different.
okay.
This is different than the radios. Our radios are 800 megahertz. And
Okay. I wasn't sure how it all interacted, but I don't wanna buy something and then come to find out that it's.
Yeah, and this is a whole separate, system.
Okay.
Like I said, we're all on 800 megahertz in Rice County. This, digital signal, I guess that would be, and this is still the old VHF signal.
I just know when you listen to a scanner, you hear the page come through.
Right.
It's on the same 800 megahertz there too, so that's why I thought they were
So,
connected.
yeah, I mean, we should be fine for quite a while yet on this technology.
Would it be worthwhile to have a couple of spares?
I think it would be,
Because if you're staffed completely at 26.
we'd have no, at this point, if I get 26 new pagers, then our spares would be, we could still use the old pagers, that could be the spare. And then if someone lost one or they ran it over with their lawnmower, then we could order a new one. Or I could order 28 pagers, I guess, and have 2 spares. I don't have, that's possible too.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, these won't, we'd still be able to use these, they'd still work.
You said run over by a lawnmower, is that what happened in the past with
It came so quickly off the top of his head.
Well, that's an
Fresh in his
excuse I
mind.
get once in a while. Yeah, I mean, they, like I said, they're worn all the time, and every once in a while I get a call. Something happened. I guess in conclusion, I'm asking City Council to approve my request to purchase new pagers for the fire department. And those, the salesperson up at ANCOM said that they're readily available, so once they're ordered, they should get here pretty quick.
Okay.
Don't have to wait 6 months
Right.
like everything else. Any questions?
I think it's time to upgrade if we can't get parts and that, so I move we approve the bid from ANCOM for $14,044 for pagers for the fire department.
Motion by Councilperson Fuhrer, second by Councilman Webb. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your work. Also, good job acquiring a grant.
Yes.
It all
We
helps.
get them once in a while.
Absolutely. Good job.
Thank you.
Consider approval of a quote submitted by B&K Excavating in the amount of $6,967 for the Gibbon Avenue ditch and culvert improvements. Nick Williams, City Engineer. Nick?
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Mayor, members of the council. As discussed at the October 27th City Council meeting, staff was contacted by the owner at 6800 Gibbon Avenue regarding drainage concerns on the property. Specifically, the concern is flooding during large rain events and then during the seasonal freeze-thaw. The city did make some improvements in 2014 that involved the installation of a larger driveway culvert at that time. Those improvements have worked until recently, this past winter during the freeze-thaw when we had the culvert froze and water backed up into the property. WSB did review the existing conditions. We studied the area, got survey shots, and determined that lowering the driveway culvert, doing some grading downstream and removing it downstream, ditch check will help get the flow through the culvert, prevent it from freezing, and alleviate the concerns during majority of the rain events. The 100-year storm still could be a potential issue, but most rain events, we'll be able to get the water through that culvert and downstream and alleviate any flooding concerns. So staff did obtain quotes. 3 quotes were received. Those range from $6,967 to $19,100. Staff is recommending awarding a quote to B&K Excavating in the amount of $6,967 for this work. They did confirm they can complete this work this year. Expected to take a day or two tops. Restoration would likely wait till spring at this point, but getting the culvert in and doing the grading could all happen this year if the council approves. The fiscal impact, this was not budgeted in the 2022 budget, but funds are available from the Road and Bridge Fund. That concludes staff's report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Do you, in your opinion, will this be the final resolution to this issue?
I certainly hope so. You know, as far as the culvert freezing, this should alleviate any of those issues. I'd have to ask the property owner if this is, you know, I guess I think she's in attendance tonight, if she wants to address the council or
You sure
talk
can.
about the situation.
You sure can, Joy, if you want to. You sure can. Yeah, come up to the podium, please, yeah.
So thanks for having me. I just have a few questions on my own. Now, I know none of you were around when the development was made, maybe you were, I don't recall.
Yeah.
My initial question is that was raw land, and so why was it determined that the stormwater would come through our property? Is my first question. When that was all raw land, it could have been tied into the city stormwater system, but it was determined to come through my property. That's my first question. Second comment is that we as property owners were not communicated with whatsoever during the process of deciding how this drain water was coming through. So, and then the other thing is that the existing culvert that was there when the development was processed was the culvert you guys replaced in 2014. So, obviously, I don't think downstream was considered because the size of my culvert was probably 14 inches versus the culvert draining into my property. So I don't know that my property, what you're doing to my property is the actual fix. It's kind of a Band-Aid. The actual fix would be not me receiving all that stormwater. The culvert that was put in 2014 alleviated a large part of my problems. The biggest issue was this winter it froze. Our culverts have never frozen. Dornfield, I forget what his first name, had stopped by. And I said, you know, the culvert's never frozen. And I said, this is the one year that when I snowshoed, I didn't come down the driveway. I went doubled around, so I didn't come down, so I wasn't paying attention to it. So I would prefer not to have the culvert lowered down to the base level, because when I commented that I wouldn't mind the creek going dry, I would have liked to have filled it, but now I'm gonna have this big ditch in my middle of my property right in the front. And I don't like that idea. I think it really devalues my property. And then the second comment I have to make is I don't know that you guys realize how much water was coming on my property, so I had to dig up a couple of my old phones and I can show you pictures. So you understand how much water was coming through. Can I approach you and show you?
Yeah, you sure can, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want you to
Yeah.
understand where I'm coming
I
from,
just-
that
just,
I'm not being,
No, no, you know,
not being cranky about it.
No, no.
Kind of am, but.
yeah. I think just, you know, in fairness to the rest of the council, you're right. I don't think they were on the council at the time
So
of
this was
construction.
one rain event.
Was WSB, were you guys even the engineer, or was that still Bullard? Does anybody
In
know?
2014,
No,
So it's
when they were
long.
originally constructed, you know?
You know, and that's the front. And then this is looking at my home, so this is all
Let's see,
covered.
I
I do
got
have
your
originals.
example
See, this is, the creek is
I'm
on
guessing
the
that
inside of
design was
these pine trees.
probably
So it would flood
late '03,
with,
early,
like
early '04.
an inch of
I
rain
believe
would flood.
WSB took over in '04,
So
so
that's why
So it could have been
I'm,
some of the,
probably
you
the
know, I
tail
just don't
end.
wanna be,
Yeah.
and so this was one of the
Unless
rain
they wanted
events,
to make
so
construction.
this is
Yeah.
coming
Right away.
from, this is going over the berm behind the development. And so the water coming in is from this culvert here, and it's totally going over that berm, so that culvert is huge.
I can tell you typically on a project, maybe Nick can attest to that. But typically you retain, the on-site water from a subdivision within a holding pond, and then you let it go out at a moderate rate. I would assume this is well, I don't assume, but it's a ditch section there. It's a township road is what it used to be, right? Gibbon Avenue.
No,
It's not, it's a rural section, right, with ditches?
it's my driveway we're speaking of.
Yeah, no, I mean, along the roadway there where the ditches are, that's a rural section where it's got ditches.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, hence, that's why you have the culvert in there, but I guess my point is, you know, I think we're trying to resolve this, you know,
Right, right.
amicably. That's all I'm getting at, and I think in fairness to the city staff and the council, I think this was designed by a previous engineering firm who's no longer here, and I think the administrator at the time is no longer here, and so I think in 2014, we tried to rectify it.
And it did, I
Yeah,
would say,
yeah.
in the high 90s, it has controlled the problem. I mean, the water, it does
Right.
swell when we get big rains.
Right, that's
But
right.
if it goes up and over the driveway, it's very minimal, and I can
Right.
tolerate that.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, you should have had some flow previous to construction.
well, it was from a field.
Yeah, no, that's right. But I mean, there was some flow.
Yeah.
You know.
And just our
Yeah,
rainwater from
yeah,
our.
and theoretically, if the project was designed correctly, you should have had the same amount of flow, because,
Right.
you know,
Right.
but, and, you know, I think the point is, and I'm just speaking for myself, but I think we're working towards a resolution
Right.
that would be satisfactory. Have, I assume, Nick, you've discussed what the plan of attack is here with Jody and stuff?
I know,
Or Joel?
I know Joel has, and I think we have together, we came up with a plan to remedy it, and,
Right.
you know, Joe talked to her as well, and
Yeah,
Well, the person, our excavator, came to mark the flags out, and so I was home, so I'm like, who are you, first of all? And so he was telling me about the project, and you wanna lower the ditch on the east side of my property, like another 2 feet? I mean, I maintain that ditch, and that's pretty steep, but I'm not getting any younger.
Yep, and we had talked about that, because you had addressed that, because we.
You know, cause
had
it's
brought that
like,
concern.
I
I mean,
think
I'm
the
taking a
point-
lawnmower and I'm going like this to mow.
I think the point is they wanna make sure the water flows all the way through, because the water must flow east there, right? Keeps going.
Right, but technically, the portion when dig out is technically not my property, it's Simon's property, technically.
Wait, it was Gibbon Avenue, is that all private? At one time it was part of township, but is it all,
It's actually private at my flagpole.
right,
It's Simon's or Stangbush had easement through there because it was part of the Metson
Right.
farm.
right.
So technically, I'd say that's my drive,
But I didn't see the typical section, but I would assume the slope is like a 4-to-1 or something, where they can maintain it and all that kind of stuff.
yeah, it's
Is
about
that-
4-to-1, I would say.
So typically, that's pretty flat. I mean, you should be able to go crossways on it with the
I
lawnmower.
have,
I mean, you should be, that's why, I mean, a 4-to-1 you should.
well, I have a zero-turn lawnmower, and you can feel free to try it out if you'd like, but no, you're never gonna do it.
But I mean, I wonder now after it's complete if they'll have that,
I doubt it.
or pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, we're not really, we're just, you know, we're not changing it that much. I mean, we're removing the check dam and then
Right.
lowering a little bit to get grade, to get it to flow.
Right,
I wouldn't think we'd be changing those side slopes that much, and I
Okay.
could double check, but.
yeah.
Well, here's a picture of my creek as it is. Here is, oh, let's see here.
Yeah, yeah. No, I've seen, I mean, I don't
Yeah,
budget.
so I
No, I
mean,
know.
it's pretty steep, so I'd be hard pressed to drive my zero turn on that, I'd tip right over. So you wanna dig that end a lot deeper.
Are you gonna grade on both sides of that ditch?
We would grade on both sides of the ditch and smooth it out.
That would help, you know, both, you know what he's saying, they would flatten both sides of the ditch to allow you,
But the other concern that I have, I mean, granted, cause the culvert did alleviate a lot of problems, so my concern is now the main creek in the west side of my property, it's like 15 feet wide, so I'm gonna have a 15-foot wide ditch in the middle of my yard that's gonna be empty. And I can't do anything with it, I can't fill it, I can't plant anything in there to make it look nice. So to me, it's gonna be a big eyesore.
So I had spoke with Miss Ruby. I went out there to address some issues that the contractors were having, some confusion. I met with her, and that was the concern she had, was the empty ditch. Once this culvert is lowered, everything will drain at 100% rate. We had discussed the improvements that were made in 2014, which retains water, so it has like a wetland effect on the west side of her driveway. If the council would entertain this idea, it was a suggestion of, you know, once in 39 years that it froze, we have the equipment to thaw that out.
Right.
And to open it up.
right, I think that's the point, I think we talked about this at a previous meeting. For example, if you were in a township and the culverts freeze, because they do freeze periodically
Right.
throughout all townships in Minnesota. You know, like Joe said, there's, you know, heating machines and.
Right,
you
yep,
can-
yep, that's why I hired last year to do it.
Yeah. So I guess the point is that can be done too. From what I understand, did you prefer to keep water?
I would prefer, because like I said, when I said I don't mind if it dries up, meaning I thought maybe you would divert the water elsewhere, and now I got this big trench in the middle of my yard that, I mean, it feels like in the backside of the yard or somewhere not in the middle of my yard.
Well, I guess where I was headed with this, kind of follow up with Joe.
But
So
yes, I would like to have water in there. Yes, I would agree if someone could maintain the ice, if there's ice in there, I could watch it. And when I start to see issues, I can say, hey, it's starting to get to the point maybe we should address it. I mean, I could easily do that.
Right, so so are we saying we would leave it as is and kind of grade out that ditch a little bit, or what are we saying?
I think the suggestion would be to leave it as is.
Yeah.
And if we get to the point where it is filling up, we have a unique spring, a melt thaw.
Plus, we didn't have snow cover hardly.
Well, I mean, I agree with
The
it,
city-
it was an odd
The city
swing.
can bring the
Yeah.
jetter out there, you know, a matter of 4 hours to jet a 30-foot culvert.
Right, and a lot of times it's less than, like, we used to do it a lot for the townships, for the various, over the years. and
Right.
It depends, and, you know, it's unique, the winters are, of course, you know, you
Right.
get a dry winter, wet freeze thaw, all that kind of jazz. I mean, I tend to agree with Joe that maybe we should look at something like that, especially if you kind of still want water.
I do. I mean, if I
Yeah,
could fill
yeah.
in the ditch, cause I could have usable yard, but
Right.
if you're gonna continue to drain water in my yard, I can't do that.
Anyway, right, so we're
Right.
really not maybe 100% solving it is what you're kind of
Not
saying.
even close.
And further, the city's gonna own that forever.
Right. I'm sorry, do it.
The city, if we agree to maintain that, we're gonna maintain it forever.
Well, right, yeah, you know, it's hard to say what growth is and all that kind of stuff, but I think what I'm hearing though, Joel, is that if we go ahead and move forward with this project, we still don't have a final resolution. I think Jody is saying this, you know, it may not solve it, we might be back here again redesigning something.
Oh, absolutely, I said that at the last council meeting.
I do have one question, just a thought, you know, there's that big, you know, got the big berm coming down Gibbon, that's there. There's a big, like, football-sized basin there. Why can't water be held in there? I'm just curious.
I'm not familiar, I would have thought it'd been like an infiltration basin. Nowadays, you create infiltration so it holds the water and then it seeps through
Right,
that.
right,
I
well-
don't know if,
So I don't know why majority of water can't go there, and I could just get, I mean, if I got the overflow, that'd be great, but I don't know, cause the water comes, the culvert's kinda aiming southeast, so it all kinda like this, it doesn't go like that. So I'm just curious as to why we couldn't have 80% of the water go south and kinda hang in that basin and just let the overflow.
Well, it can't go south because that's the high point. Fig Street is the break, you know, north and south.
Well,
So-
right, but that big basin that's there, that big football-sized basin south of what Kalina's house used to be, down to where that little strip of woods is.
that probably was designed for that, I would suspect, wasn't it? Why wasn't the basin designed to handle overflow?
I would assume so, but.
Like I said,
doesn't-
unfortunately,
it doesn't-
Jody,
it
this
doesn't
is.
work that way.
it
I know,
predate-
I know,
you
but I mean, I got
right.
pictures, I mean, it's
Yeah.
just like this huge.
Well, we don't doubt you, but I guess I think what I'm hearing is, you know, if we would kind of monitor this here for a while and see if, maybe last year was just unique. My
Right.
concern, especially if we're not 100% agreement that this is gonna solve it.
Right, and you know, another thing is too, I don't know at how high the berm is before that culvert is, if it were made higher so the water would wanna stay more in that area, but you'd have to like be sure you rip wrap it so it doesn't like roll away. I mean, that's a thought, I mean, it's just a thought to
Yeah.
help kind of alleviate the amount of water that comes through, because the amount of water comes through in the rain eroded a lot of my garden, so I paid to have that all ripped.
In normal years, are you okay with it?
Yeah. Like I said, I probably would have been just fine had it not froze this year, and because I'm the only outlet, that water is absolutely nowhere to go, and I actually had to call work and say, I don't know if I can come in, because I don't know how much higher this water is gonna get. So I thought, I'm gonna have to get a pump, I'm gonna have to get something to drain that water, because it was getting up to my driveway, and it's,
Right.
so I was a little panicked about it,
No, I understand.
so that's why I got a little wound up about it, because I'm like, well, now I'm losing a half a day of
Yeah.
work, because
No.
I gotta deal with this.
Right. I don't know, I mean, if you're confident Public Works can keep an eye on things, you know?
You know, and I think the fact that I will make a point of making sure that it drains, I mean, that it's cleared, and when it starts to get maybe like this much ice, I'll say, hey, because then it won't be that hard to plow it out, rather, because
Right.
the ice, it was solid when the guy came there.
Yeah. And then some years it's like that, you know,
Yeah.
it,
And in all the years we owned the property, it never froze, never. This was the very first time ever that it froze. So,
I guess, from what I'm hearing, if you're okay if we live with it as it is for now and monitor it and to see what this winter and spring, it's probably the
I
right
mean, I
thing
hate
to
to spend money if it's not gonna really solve the problem, because the solving problem would be the water not coming on my property in the first place.
Right,
So,
right,
that would be what would solve the problem. So this, I'm happy to have the water feature there, my husband put it there.
Yep.
Because what was there was just a swale prior, so we
Right.
put that in there. So
Right.
I would prefer to leave it there. And yes, it is sentimental to me, but.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's, well, I mean, I'm okay with leaving it and monitoring it, gonna roll with that.
And so would someone come in and periodically check it, or should I be responsible for letting you know, like, hey, maybe you should come take a little gander?
Well, I think since the interim Public Works Director volunteered to be involved in this, that he would be your contact.
All right, I'll put you on speed dial.
I guess if that's fine with you guys, I don't know if I need any direction, if we need an official agreement of.
I think you monitor, like I say, on a normal year, apparently it's okay or satisfactory at
Yeah,
least.
like I said, when you got huge, I mean, prior to that culvert going in, a half an inch would cause the water to go to where the pine trees were. I don't have the pine trees there anymore. An inch of water would be up to the oak trees that were farther out and up and over the driveway. And you
Right.
get an inch of rain numerous times in the summer, so it was just a constant.
Yeah,
And then all the crap I'd have to clean up, I have enough work to do, much less
Yeah.
cleaning up debris.
shouldn't have got too much water this year though, right?
No, it's the first time the creek has dried,
Yes,
it's pathetic.
yes. Okay, should we just leave it at that then? Is that okay with you?
Let's do that, and
Okay.
then, okay, let's do that, and then we'll
Okay.
just
We'll stay
deal
in
with
touch.
it when the issues arise.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jody.
Right. So would you like a motion to reject the bids, or would that be okay?
Yeah, that'd be fine, yep.
Okay. Motion by Councilman Palava,
Second?
second by Councilperson Fear. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consider approval of application for payment number 5 in the amount of $167,060.97 to BCM Construction for the 2022 street improvement project. Mr. Williams?
Yeah, good evening again, Mayor and City Council. Pay voucher 5 for BCM Construction is recommended for payment this evening. The project is substantially complete. They have completed the punch list items for this fall. There will be a few items left in the spring, and then final completion would be the spring of '23 when they do the final wear course paving. Items completed as part of this was restoration, sodding, tree planting. They did the alley paving and the bituminous wedge. Project is expected to come in under budget. We're probably about 100 grand plus under, so that should be where we end up, which is good news. Other than that, we do recommend payment of pay voucher number 5 to BCM Construction.
Okay, I just have one question. I think I brought it up to you at a little quick staff meeting there, but we have one resident that has a claim. Do you know what the status of that? Is that being worked through?
Yeah, Joel and I have both been working with the contractor to get resolution on that. The contractor has had their insurance company involved.
Okay.
My understanding is the insurance company has given the property owners some sort of offer,
Okay.
and that offer is on the table. So
Okay.
I don't know more than that, but the insurance company has reached out to the property owner, and it's in their court right now.
That's going down the path in
Yep.
progress.
Yep.
Okay. Okay,
Make a motion to approve pay application number 5.
motion by Councilman Palava, second by Councilman Webb. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consider approval of a quote submitted by Midwest Machinery Company in the amount of $5,149.64 for a John Deere Z997R diesel NA. Joe Dornfeld, Interim Public Works Director. Mr. Dornfeld.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. In previous budgets meetings, Lonsdale staff has discussed trading in our John Deere 1575 lawnmower to replace it with a John Deere Z99 997R zero-turn mower. In order to get this new mower in time for mowing in 2023, the city must sign and submit a purchase order now. By signing this purchase order, the city would trade in the 1575 mower now, receive the new zero-turn mower in March of 2023. The payment of $5149.64 wouldn't be due until March of 2023. The fiscal impact is the funding from this quote comes from the 2023 budget, and alternatives are we do not approve the signing of this purchase order. If you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Okay, anybody have any questions?
One note I'll make is this 5149.64 state bid contracting prices shifted a little bit in our favor. When we discussed this at the budget meeting, it was just north of $7,000. So it did come in a little less. Our trade value has not changed at all.
Do you expect any difficulty or delays in delivery, or?
Not for this mower. I've been told
Okay.
for mowing season of spring of 2023.
Okay.
Not to get off the subject, but where we sit on that other piece of equipment?
The Gator
Yeah.
next week. Parts of it came yesterday.
Some assembly required.
Yeah,
No
exactly.
assembly required.
Exactly. Okay,
I move we approve a quote from Midwest Machinery.
motion by Councilperson Fear,
Second.
second by Councilman Palava. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consider approval of an offer submitted by Midwest Machinery in the amount of $96,000 to purchase the city's John Deere 5125R tractor. Mr. Dornfeld.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Again, in previous budget meeting discussions, Lonsdale staff discussed selling our 5125R John Deere tractor and replacing it with a John Deere 1600 wide area mower. Midwest Machinery has offered to purchase our tractor for $96,000. Selling this tractor allows the city to relieve itself from the lease-to-own contract we are currently in. Selling the tractor now also means the city would not have to make another payment on the tractor, which is due in the end of November of 2022. The fiscal impact of selling the 5125R tractor frees up the necessary funds to purchase the John Deere 1600 wide area mower in 2023. The alternatives are to not approve the quote from Midwest Machinery. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
I think you did a good job cleaning up this issue. It's been a little bit of a problematic, as we all know, but I think it's a good move to move on from this piece and on to better things.
Well, I'll make the motion to accept that offer from Midwest Machinery for the $96,000.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Palava, second by Councilman Webb. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consider approval of a quote submitted by Midwest Machinery in the amount of $81,859.33 for a John Deere 1600 turbo terrain cut commercial wide area mower with two post folding ROPS. Mr. Dornfeld.
Thank you again, Mayor and Council. Once again, budget meeting discussions. We discussed selling our tractor and purchasing these John Deere 1600 wide area mower. This is just approval to get a purchase order signed to guarantee the mower for the 2023 mowing season. No payments would be due to John Deere for this mower until 2023. The alternatives are do not approve the signature of the purchase order from Midwest Machinery. Any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Will they have stock on hand?
Is the mower in stock?
Or will it be available for March?
I've heard March to May. It's just kind of it kind of went ahead in our budget discussions
the Midwest Machinery, on their own, put a purchase order in, not with us signing it or any responsibility to us at this point. But it was just we can see this road you're going down, let's do this so that we can have one.
Okay.
The other mowers that I looked at were not readily available for 2023 at all.
Okay.
Okay.
Kind of hashed out all the options here, you know, over the past couple months, and it seems like it's gonna be probably the best use of equipment and funds, so we'll make a motion to, let's make, get all the wording right. Accept the quote for the 81,859 for the turbo train cut commercial wide area mower
With two posts folding. Don't forget the
yeah,
two
I'm
posts
sorry.
folding.
And a couple.
It's a mouthful.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of words on there, I kinda lost my place. Yeah,
Motion by
It's a
Councilman,
cab.
it's a cab.
motion by Councilman Palava,
Second?
second by Councilperson Fear. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consider approval of a proposal submitted by Abdo Eakin Myers in the amount of $31,500 to conduct the city's 2022 year-end audit. Mr. Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Prior to the city's 21 year-end audit, I spoke with Schlenner Wenner and was told due to staffing issues on their end, if the city wanted to find a different auditor, they would recuse themselves and we could do that. Given the fact that it was around this time of the year, I didn't have much of a choice, so I accepted the delay, and I think it was still completed by June 30th, which is the due date by the state. This year, a couple weeks ago, I got a letter from them stating that due to the same reasons, and I think there was unprecedented number of staff leaving public accounting, they were resigning as the city's auditor and would therefore not complete our 2022 year-end audit, financial statements, and then state auditor reports. I did reach out to several firms that submitted RFP or proposals in response to our RFP back in 2000 when we last went out. Of the ones that I contacted, only Abdo Eakin Meyer responded. They responded actually the next day, and I think the day after that, I had the enclosed or the attached proposal. That proposal is in the amount of $31,500. It is about $9,300 more than Schlenner Wenner's proposal for this year, and about $5,700 higher than Abdo's proposal that was submitted in 2000 for the 2022 year-end audit. I did ask them about pricing. Hey, let's work something out here. I get it, you know, it's last minute. They said that played a role, but the majority was basically it's the cost to retain their staff. And if we would have went out for proposals, this would have been the price that we would have seen. So at this point, we don't have much of a choice but to approve the proposal submitted by Abdo Eakin Meyer. As I said earlier, the fiscal impact's about $9,300, which is the difference between the proposal submitted by Abdo and what was approved by Schlenner Wenner for this year's audit. Alternatives would be to not approve the proposal and either solicit quotes from another firm or complete the typical RFP process, which takes about 4 to 6 weeks. And then included with my staff report is the resignation letter from Schlenner Wenner and then the proposal submitted by Abdo Eakin Meyer for completion of the city's 2022 year-end audit, financial statements, and state auditor reporting.
Have we had them in the past?
Yes.
Several years back.
I believe, yeah,
Many
I
years.
believe they were here, they definitely did the '04 audit and maybe the '05. But after that, we went out for RFPs, and I think since then we had Wolfetter, I. Bailey, and more recently Schlenner Wenner.
Okay. Well, we have to have the job done, so I move we approve the quote from Abdo for our audit.
Motion by Councilperson Fear,
Second.
second by Councilman Palava. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consider approval of Andrew Rasmussen's letter of resignation from the Lonsdale Economic Development Authority. Mr. Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Recently, Mr. Rasmussen submitted his letter of resignation from the Economic Development Authority. Reasons cited were just lack of time due to other commitments, family, and his business. He was appointed to the EDA for a 6-year term in January of 2001. The EDA does serve 6-year terms, so his term would have went through 26. He brought an entrepreneurial spirit to the EDA over the last 2 years. The commissioners and myself appreciate his commitment to the EDA and Lonsdale overall. Per the EDA's bylaws, all appointments to the EDA are made by the mayor with council approval. This would be filling a vacancy. There is no fiscal impact. Alternatives would be none because he has resigned. And then I did include his letter of resignation in the staff report. Between receiving this and this meeting, this is the time of the year where we begin to advertise for advisory boards. So I did, I believe they're on our website, and they will be in the paper here for the next 2 Tuesdays. So I did include one vacancy in that advertising.
Okay.
So it'll basically be the remainder of the 6-year term for 4 years.
Well, I'd like to thank Andrew for his time. You know, as we all know, at City Council and advisory boards take a lot of time and effort, and I'm sure he's got a good business in town. He wants to address that, I'm sure. So.
Make a motion to accept Andrew Rasmussen's letter of resignation.
Motion by Councilman Palava, second by Councilman Webb. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consider approval to make a conditional job offer for the Public Works Director position. Mr. Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Well, with the resignation of the former Public Works Director, staff and the council, our staff updated, the council approved, updated job description, and authorized staff to advertise the position. It was posted on the city's website, the League of Minnesota Cities website, and then also Minnesota Rural Water's website. 4 applications were received for the position. Of the 4, 3 met the minimum requirements. Those 3 were interviewed earlier this week, Tuesday, late afternoon, evening. Based off of those interviews that were conducted by council members Kadada, Palava, and myself, the committee is making a recommendation to make Joe Dornfeld a job offer based on the following factors. He's worked for the city since October 31st of 2006 and is very knowledgeable on all aspects of the city's public works department. He was appointed interim public works director in early August and has done a good job during that time period. He's got a clear understanding of the city council's vision and how to positively represent the city and department while dealing with the public staff and other organizations. Lonsdale is his hometown, and he takes pride in his work. Because it's a desired qualification for this position to have a Class B wastewater license. The interview committee felt it necessary that Dornfeld obtain his Class B wastewater certificate. So to provide incentive and to be consistent with recent discussions on staff obtaining and upgrading their licenses, it's also recommended to provide a step increase upon him receiving his Class B wastewater certificate. The fiscal impact is about $2,600 based off of what was currently being paid and what will be paid on 2,080 hours worked. The alternatives would be to not make a job offer to Mr. Dornfeld and consider one of the other applicants for the position, and then included are Mr. Dornfeld's application materials, Public Works Director posting, and then the job description.
Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate Councilman Plav and Councilman Kadada sitting in my spot. You know, I do. I mean, obviously, I'm a big proponent of hiring Joe. I think he's done a really good job in his employment with the city. I think the one thing that really is gonna be a change that we desperately need in this town is the rapport of the Public Works Director with the public. I think that's been an issue, for a long time. I think we all know as a city council, when that issue evolves, the residents are calling us and we're having to deal with it. And that's one of the qualities that I think, Joe certainly can bring to the position. And, I think it's a great choice and I would certainly support that.
I will note the other applicants, they were very, very qualified. And perhaps if Joe didn't have his tenure here, it might have been different, but he had a lot of institutional knowledge of the community. And that's a very important thing, because we don't wanna, have that lost. Very impressed with the interview.
Good. It appears that the salary, you've come to terms on salary?
Yep, we met this morning and came to terms.
With him becoming the Public Works Director, and I know he has, in the interim time has, I'll say limited management skills. Can we make sure that we make available to him, whatever we could see available to help him increase his management skills? We don't want to just throw him out there.
Training or classes.
Classes,
available.
training, whatever might be available to assist him to do, to help him grow in the position. I think that would be helpful for him, give him some, little guidance, so he isn't out there just flailing around. I know he'll do fine, but, we want to give him extra
And actually,
tools.
any of our employees, as far as that goes, I think we've encouraged a lot of them to, apply for licenses and upgrade their
Right.
career and all those kind of things, but, no, it's a good point. Yeah. Okay, we good with it?
Make a motion to make approval of a job offer to Joe Dornfeld, Public Works Director.
Second?
Motion by Councilman Palava, second by Councilman Fuhr. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I just gotta say, it's a long ways from a 6-year-old kid that couldn't hit a curveball to Public Works Director. Yes, sir, I remember those days. Really good job, I'm really happy for you, Joe. Thank you. All right, on to K, additional job posting, Mr. Erickson.
Well, with the job offer made to Mr. Dornfeld here, the next step would be to fill his position. We're recommending the position be advertised and filled as soon as possible. The following information is proposed. I took this from the pay scale, the 23 proposed pay scale that we've worked on during the budget process, and then also the job description. The pay range is $23.99 to $37.52. I guess I'm recommending a starting wage of $24.83. That'd be step 2. I guess that's all going to be dependent on the qualifications of the applicants that we get. I do like posting kind of an anticipated starting pay, because we ran into issues before where I need $35 an hour. Well, that's not going to happen, unfortunately. The due date of applications is Monday, December 5th. Looking at interviews tentatively the week of the 12th, and then our next council meeting after that would be December 29th. Summary of the position is just based off the job descriptions. The minimum requirements: high school diploma or equivalent, possess or obtain Class B CDL within 6 months, 1 year experience. Desire would be a Class A CDL, Class B water and wastewater, Minnesota tree inspector's license, Type 4 biosolids application certificate, and 3 years experience. For this step in the process, the fiscal impact would be the cost of advertising the position in the local newspaper. Otherwise, it'll be in addition, it'll be on our city website. I can throw it on Facebook, the League of Minnesota Cities, and give Real Water a shot again, because they had similar positions advertised there as well.
Okay,
So moved.
motion by Councilperson Fuhr,
Second.
second by Councilman Palava. Any further, further discussion, other than, I think we brought this up at the last meeting, but you're confident staff could handle snow plowing in the interim to get somebody
In the
hired?
interim, yes.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, is there anything else for the agenda, Mr. Erickson?
No.
Okay. On to department reports, Mr. Dornfeld, anything else?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Public Works, we've got the water main break patching done. There was 3 large water main break patches. They are complete for winter. The annual maintenance on our wastewater treatment plant and lift station just was completed. Plows and sanders, everything's ready to go for winter. The Christmas tree is working.
Until they hit the switch, right?
We've-
Until the,
We've gotten lots of wind
Lonsdale.
again, so it will be checked multiple times before the lighting ceremony. The other thing which happened today is we got some new bugs at our wastewater treatment plant to try to help with the solids that we're experiencing in our plant. Moving forward, we'll be trimming trees, concluding our street signs for 2022. And lumber was purchased, and the fixing up of the skate park equipment has started. That is anticipated to carry out throughout the winter, pull them in the shop, build them one at a time, put them back out until the
great,
pad is ready for them to go.
good.
Is there a decision made on where that was gonna be located yet?
At the last park board meeting, Stika Park was a priority. Another one we were looking at, reaching out to Rice County and again, purchasing or some type of long-term lease on the county shop or a portion of it, maybe a long-term lease on that southern portion, the grass area and putting it there. But just, that's not an option. I just spoke even recently to the county, or the county engineer today, about it again, so.
Moving the stockpiles, that's not an option, and weeds and debris.
So, I think it's above his head for making that decision on that,
Okay,
the future of that asset. But Stika Park is what they're looking at now. So we'd actually, we're gonna be having a park board meeting on Monday night where we'll go over that, working with WSB on the soils there and what it would take to, what type of pad it would need, you know, as far as the thickness, if a footing, rebar, things like that, so. Yeah, we looked at all the parks really, and kind of selected that one as centrally located, kind of not in a residential neighborhood. Just trying to
Right.
think ahead of, you know, if we put it at this park, what's the response gonna be? So,
right. Well, that's a good spot, a good point. Okay, anything else?
Just one last thing, I cannot state enough how excited I am to represent Lonsdale as Public Works Director. And thank you to everyone.
Good, good job. Best of luck. Mr. Nick?
Yeah, good evening, Mayor and Council. Currently working on the 2023 trail construction documents. So we have identified a couple segments of trail on 8 between Big and Ash, and then a section of trail along 15. So currently doing estimates, and we'll you know, get the bid package put together and get it bid out probably in January and get it awarded, and that's all I got for this one.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for all your work. Mr. Erickson?
well, probably the biggest thing here recently was the election on Tuesday, leading up to that public accuracy test, helping out with that. Thanks to the election judges, they did a great job. It's a long day. Everything went smooth, so that was a good thing. Staff met with Gary Tupy and Probe Engineering on the Bastier Point development, housing development that they're looking at getting off the ground east of McInthunes and west of the villages in that 5-acre field there right now. So we reviewed their concept, provided them some comments, and they were going to take those into consideration, make some modifications, and get that back to us. So I would anticipate once we get that reviewed, we would start the development process and work towards you know, finalizing that concept plan, prelim, final plat, developers agreement. And, I think given the time of the year, construction as early as next spring.
Well, hopefully, I mean, with the interest rates and all that, it'd be kind of nice to keep moving forward, you know.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, we don't have many developed single-family lots available,
Right.
so.
Right, right.
Met with Bevcom last week, and then got an email from TCU today. They want to get back to doing their TCU and legislative meetings. In the past, it was right around the first of the year. They want to, you throw out the dates of December 12th and the 21st over at TCU High School from 5 to 7. I plan on attending. I'm not sure if any of you guys want to attend. In the past, it was everyone around the table in the library at the middle school, and we were getting out of there at 11 o'clock at night. They went away from that. So it's broken down to the school is at the whole thing, at least some staff. The cities in the area of elected officials, state and some federal. And then the second hour is the school district and local officials, elected officials. So if anyone's interested in coming, let me know. Otherwise, I'll just let them know that I'll be there and represent Lonsdale. Otherwise, between now and the next council meeting, just look at the budget and finalize that, anything that needs to be tweaked slightly, and anticipate that being presented to the council on December 8th.
Okay, two things that I got, I guess, for you is this assistant position, community development position. Are we getting any applicants, or have you come
Yep,
across
I
it?
did.
Or good?
Yep, I did recently get one application, so I'm gonna review that, and then, I did get some election materials from another applicant. I did follow up and said, hey, submit this too, so I'll be reaching out to that potential applicant as well to see if there's still interest.
Because I think at some point, we may have to do a little bit of headhunting, or if you start to invite people, or, I mean, you can't be as overworked as you've been. I mean, we got to get somebody in here that.
Yep, that, and we'd have to talk about it more, but, WSB has said that they're willing to assist as well with land use applications and things like that, so.
Right. Which I appreciate it, but I mean, we need a body here, that's just the
No,
fact.
that's just an interim, temporary solution.
Right, so.
I guess the good thing is coming into winter, that it is the slowest time of the year for that position, but it needs to get filled.
The other thing was, I know we talked a little bit about the former police station and the sale of that. The question I have, and I think I talked to a couple of you guys about that, but so Skywarn, which is a group in Lonsdale that has been around for a long time, that occupy the lower level. And obviously if we sell the building, they would not be able to do that. I've had some discussion with them, and they wanted me to come and talk to their board. I guess I really don't have any answers for them. I did mention that maybe they could buy it, or even if the city had to work with them or help finance it, but they have no monies or really ability to purchase the building. So I think the question is there another location for Skywarn, or are they out on their own? I know they have some materials there, not only the Skywarn equipment, but from their fundraising events. I think they have miscellaneous items too there, so it's probably, I mean, there's quite a bit of stuff in there, I guess, but I don't know if anybody's got any thoughts on it, or if you think of something or come across something, maybe let me know. We should get with them shortly, because if for example, if you sell the building, they want to close in 30 days, for example, you hate to just go ahead and say, well, you're out. I mean, the other option is maybe we have to have a discussion, say maybe 30 days or 60 days, you're going to have to be out either way. I don't know if anybody has any thoughts on that, but I think by the next council meeting, we should try to get some finality.
Yeah, it would be nice to get some direction prior to, if you're gonna meet with them, to kind of say, hey, here's
Right.
here's what the council's discussed, and here's kind of the timeline.
Right. So I think the next meeting, if that is in fact either way, if we're saying, you gotta be out in an X amount of days, we should notify them so they can make preparations. But like I said, the biggest the bigger issue is, can they find a facility? It's pretty difficult to put them into a city building. I think the meeting room, they certainly could meet at the library, for example, but it's just where they store all their equipment. But anyway, something to think about for next meeting. Okay, thank you for all your work there, Mr. Erickson.
Thank you.
Councilman Webb?
Don't have much. I mean, the library had their big Halloween thing and that, with the kids, that seemed to went well, so that's about it. And
Good.
I wasn't able to go to the liquor store meeting, so I don't have anything for that one.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for all your work.
Yeah.
Councilperson Fear?
The liquor store met last week, and things are going well there. They're working on getting their inventory into that magic number. They're planning some events coming up in November and December for tastings, so watch the social media or advertising for those.
Okay, thank you for all your work. Councilman Palava?
EDA is scheduled to meet next week. And I'll throw it out there, I think we'll have a meeting before that, I don't remember. But the chamber event, the Frosty Fest and the tree lighting will be on the Saturday after Thanksgiving, so
Okay.
make sure you were there.
Make sure the light switch works, that's all that matters. It's kind of embarrassing.
So, I wanna make sure that everybody knows about that.
No
so.
pressure.
Yeah, one job.
One job, that's right.
So it's not just a little bit that doesn't work, but it's like.
Yeah. Usually it's half, it's
Yeah,
half,
yeah,
it's,
Yeah. So,
yeah.
just a reminder about that.
Thank you. I don't have too much other than I want to give another big thank you to the chamber in Shannon with all the ribbon cuttings. I mean, I can't even keep up. I appreciate you've been going to them a lot, then Scott.
I think we've had 9 this year.
Yeah, it's, so she's done a really good job there, and, good luck to all the businesses in town and all that kind of stuff. But otherwise, good meeting tonight. Thanks again, everybody, for all your work. That's all I
Motion to
have.
adjourn.
Motion by Councilman Palava,
Second?
second by Councilperson Fear. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. This meeting is adjourned.